we are back on Megaphone, and today we're going to be talking about the Reports tab, which is important because as podcasters, we want to know how many people are listening to our shows, where they're located, perhaps what device they're listening to our shows on, and all of this information helps us for content planning purposes as well as marketing. Now here in Megaphone, if you want to check out reports, you'll land on the dashboard, then go over to the Reports tab on the side. It's the last one that you'll see. Click on that and you will come to this page. There's a couple different ways to look at reports as of the timing of this video, of the recording of this video. May change in the future, but right now you have the option for this main screen, or you can come down here and check this out. It says switch to new view. When I click on this, this is basically a dashboard for your reports, for your stats for your show. And if you only have one show or, a couple shows and you don't really need to do a lot of comparison between the shows, you may want to pretty much set it on this new view and leave it there, okay? Because it does provide you with a ton of good information. Let's take a look at this. The first thing to notice at the top is that most of you are only going to have access to your own network. Your podcast, you can select all of the shows that are in your arsenal, so to speak, or you can select a specific show. So just keep in mind, if your numbers seem really high and you have multiple podcasts, it's because you're looking at all podcasts. You can select a date, but the default is the last 30 days. And you can get some good stats here. So your total downloads, and again, this is for the last month across all your shows. And it also tells you if you're up or down. Obviously, we want this to be up. Mine are a little bit down right now. But some of this information is also available on the dashboard. So if you think some of this looks familiar, yes, it's pulled from your main dashboard. But you can also see the technology performance. That's something you don't see on the main dashboard. So we can tell that almost half, 47% of people are listening on Apple Podcasts for my shows, and you can go down from there. I found that this information is really helpful if you're planning to do any kind of marketing, because you may want to push the marketing a little bit more at places that people are already listening to you at. For example, Spotify is not a big place for my shows where people find my shows, so I really don't pay much attention when Spotify releases something new, or there's something new going on with Spotify. They're not even on my, a top 10 list? They're not even on there, right? So that's how you can use this kind of information. If we scroll down a little bit more, you'll see for geolocation, for my audience, most of them are in the USA. You can also see the most popular download time of day. Now, you got to be careful with this, especially if you've come up here and you've selected a specific podcast. Let's say I select one of my most popular shows, which is Preggy Pals, and it does look like usage or downloads are more heavy on Monday and Tuesday. And that may be because I released this episode on Monday. So your download episodes might be a little stronger just based on where and when you're currently releasing those episodes. So this can be a little bit tricky, kind of take this with a grain of salt. But with all of these have reports. You can see at the bottom, you can export the reports and share it as needed. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the classic view. I know it's not quite as pretty, but I want to show you, for those of you who have multiple podcasts that are part of your account, you may want to do some comparison across your podcasts. Here's one way you could do that. So you see, you have some options here. You could go to performance. So this is the number of people that are listening to your show. You need to select what podcast. So let's just say, and you can select multiple shows, right? So I am doing a comparison. So I'm going to select 5 of my shows. And then you also have to confirm the date. So it's going to default to the last 30 days. And that's fine with me. So I'm going to go ahead and click run. And this is going to give me a breakdown of how the podcasts compare to each other. If you're wondering what color is what, See this little circle that's right next to the podcast? You've got to look and see how they've quantified it. But you can scroll down here and see, based on every day that I've selected, how many downloads there were for the podcast. And again, this is for all of them because I've selected all of them. If I just wanted to look at a couple of them, I could just select a couple, click Run Report again, and there you go. I'm only going to see the information for those 2 podcasts. Likewise, I could also come up to here to episodes. Let's say you want to compare how your last episodes did compared to each other. So I'm selecting my most recent 4 episodes for this podcast. All right, and this is for the last month, and I think this will work because this is a weekly show and we've only selected 4 episodes. So let's see what we get here. So you can see, it has tapered down a little bit. There's a lot going on in the news right now. And at least for shows that are focused on parenting stuff, we are experiencing an overall slump. So this isn't something that I would worry too much about, but we are down. And so back here in March, we were much stronger, and you can see there's a slow slide here. Obviously, you want to avoid that if you can, but that's why stats like this are really important. If there weren't any outstanding factors and things going on in the world that may trigger something to be lower, this would be important information. And either I would want to go and maybe do a little bit of extra marketing to get these numbers up, or it may be time to retire, let's say, that podcast and focus on something else that audiences are looking for. Okay, back here at the main reports tab. So we just looked at performance, but you can also search for geolocation. Same process, and you can select multiple shows if you want. Select the show, confirm the run date. It's going to give you a nice little pie graph here. It starts, as far as location, geolocation is concerned, it will start with the country. And if you want to break it down further than that, you're going to come over to the side where this little magnifying glass is, and you're going to click that. Now we're breaking things down according to state. If you want to break it down even further in that state, let's say Texas, let's see, what cities are we popular in? Obviously, Dallas is the biggest. Then we go Houston, and then you've got the actual numbers down here. All right, let's go back to reports, and let's look at the applications tab. Again, same process. Let's go ahead and select multiple podcasts, just so you can see what that would look like for. Okay, so it's going to look very similar. Your numbers are just going to be higher because you selected more shows. But let's go through and just delete some of these. So you can see we're running the report again. And these are the stats just for this podcast in the last 30 days. So if you're thinking about doing some advertising on some of these podcast apps now, you can do some advertising on those shows. It's always important to know how people are accessing your content. Okay? Let's go back to reports. There's also this section over here for inventory, and I think this inventory tab is much more helpful, but if you wanted just the numbers to see what inventory is available, you could do that as well. Same process. And it's going to tell you your total inventory, your percentage sold, and percentage available. But again, I think the inventory tab provides much better information. And again, you can toggle back and forth with this new view and see which one you guys like the best. All right, have fun with your stats. Let me know if you have any questions.